is Rio, and today I wanted to share with you about my positive hypnobirthing home birth story. So before I knew anything about hypnobirthing or Christian hypnobirthing site, honestly, I had a lot of fears around birthing and labor in general. So like the only ideas that I had about birth was from like the media, like from movies and things like that. So the image I had in my mind was women basically like screaming like crazy, and they're like in so much fear and they're so frantic, and it just kind of gory and scary. And or like from Friends, like Phoebe, like her water breaking and everyone's like watching and it's like this big show, you know. So I don't know, I think I had a very skewed image of what birth is like. Because of that, I basically procrastinated in even approaching the preparation for my birth until like my third trimester. And like third trimester was there and I was like, okay, I really need to start prepare mentally for my birth. And a friend of mine, actually two of my friends, they're both Christian, and they shared with me about hypnobirthing, and I had no idea about it. I was like, hypnobirthing, is that like some woo-woo weird thing? It was so life-changing. First, I got the book from Hypnobirthing, the London Method. And then another friend of mine shared with me the Instagram page from the Christian Hypnobirthing. And I was like, oh, wow, this is so interesting because it's aligned with my faith, and just completely changed the way I approach preparing for my birth and also the ideas I had about birth. And honestly, I began listening to the meditations like every day, morning and evening. That just completely changed my mindset around birthing. And I used to be so scared in approaching birth, but it's amazing because in the end, I was actually looking forward to the birth of our son. We ended up having a really peaceful preparation and birth at home in a birth pool. Funny story, I like to really share this story. So approaching the day of the birth of Kai, there was this construction project going on in our neighborhood. So basically they were laying fiber optic cables in our neighborhood, and the closer it got to the date of our expected date of birth, the closer the construction got, like house by house, street by street. And we were even joking, like, wouldn't it be hilarious if like on the day that I'm giving birth that they're gonna be like drilling this huge hole in front of our house and it's gonna be like so loud, ha 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 ha. Like there was this like joke between me and my husband. And of course, as I am right in the middle of, in between my waves, they call it in hypnobirthing instead of contractions, I hear ding dong. I'm just gonna hold the camera. Guess what? Of course, at the door is the construction man. And it turns out that right when I am giving birth, they wanted to drill the big hole in front of our house. It was actually really hilarious. And it was this like funny, even like a comic relief moment during like in between the waves, because instead of like panicking, I was just so calm and peaceful and totally chill. I just thought it was funny. And I was like, you know what, even if they have to drill, like I was so much in the zone, I didn't really mind. I was like, no, it's gonna be fine. And honestly, it did turn out to be totally fine. Like actually it was even better than fine. It was amazing, you know? Like I felt so much in the zone. Like I felt like really connected and in tune with my own body. And like I had this really sharpened sense of awareness of what is happening in my body. Like I really felt the baby. Like I was so aware of the baby coming down as well. And also I was aware of like what I needed, like the massages in my lower back like was really helpful, and my husband and my midwife, they were so amazing with it. And like, yeah, it was actually a very smooth 6 hours of labor. And the funny thing is, even though it's 6 hours, it just felt so quick. Like it started in the morning, and I think it was around like 4 o'clock when Kai was born. But then it really felt like a time warp. Like the time just flew by, and I was just like, oh my gosh, is it like dinner time already? And like, yeah, and honestly, like afterwards, I was on this high because of all the oxytocin, and I just felt so powerful. And I think it's also because the hormones kind of numb the pain as well. Like I had to have a few stitches, but like honestly, I didn't feel anything. And like, it's like, this is also like a side note, like a funny thing, but like, I also couldn't like smell any like poop from the baby. Like, it's so funny because like I remember the maternity nurses and my husband, they were like smelling the poop when they were changing of the days after, and I was like, I honestly don't smell anything. So yeah, like I think your body does become sort of like this super woman, like because of all the hormones. At least that's how I experienced it. I know that it's not everybody has the same, but that's how I experienced it. So overall, it was such an empowering process, and I felt like feminine, I felt empowered, and I felt in tune with my body. And I know that it's because of the preparation I did with the Christian hypnobirthing meditations, and from learning about hypnobirthing, and yeah, from also reading the book and doing like the breathing preparations and all of that included. And so I'm really thankful. Like if anybody is preparing to have a baby or to give birth, I would like 100% recommend the Christian hypnobirthing page, and also the meditations. Like honestly, like watching all these women give birth, like how they share all their positive birth stories, it was so encouraging. Like I really focused on watching all these positive stories because it really strengthened my faith in how our bodies truly are made to give birth. And it was like really encouraging for me as well, because I was like, you know what, from being fearful, from being like, wow, this is something like so medical and scary, it totally changed my mind. And in the end, I was like, wow, this is such a beautiful, human, womanly, feminine experience to give birth. And I just felt so natural. And yeah, it was really beautiful. And I also want to make one side note. From the home birthing, like one beautiful story that it was just so incredible is that when Kai was coming out, it was taking, well, according to the midwife, because she was not a hypnobirthing midwife, let's say, she asked me like, hey, would you like me to break the water, because we can see the, how do you call it, the amniotic sac, and if we break it, then we can actually make the process of birthing faster. And it was so like empowering at that moment, because I remembered from my process of learning about hypnobirthing that you could get asked these kinds of questions, and you have to think very quickly because you have these like, I don't know, like a few minutes in between the waves. And then I'm like, okay, what should I do? And I remembered that from the hypnobirthing, learning about hypnobirthing, to really ask your heart, like what feels right in my heart. And I asked that at that moment, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't prepared with the hypnobirthing. So then I was like, I quickly thought, you know what, it doesn't feel right for me to break manually. And so I said, you know what, no, I want to just wait until it naturally happens. And the amazing thing is, a few minutes later, it actually broke naturally. So, and Kai was born like 20 minutes later. So yeah, that's also like one of the testaments to how preparing mentally also for these kind of situations is so empowering. And effective, and yeah, it really helped me to make an informed decision that was really aligned with who I am and aligned with my heart. So yeah, so because of that, she asked me like, oh well, would you like to feel the amniotic sac? So she took like a mirror and I could see his head and I felt the head as well. Oh, it was amazing. It was such an incredible experience and I will never forget it. So yeah, even for these kind of like stories that go with my birth story, like I'm just so thankful. And yeah, so I just want to close my story by sending an encouragement for any women who might be preparing for birth, that you're made for this and that you'll just have such an empowered, beautiful, powerful experience with welcoming your new baby on earth. So anyway, thank you so much for letting me share my birth story, and also thank you to Christian Hypnobirthing for creating such a beautiful platform for all the women to be so encouraged and to be empowered. So with that, I hope you will have a beautiful day, and yeah, maybe see you in another time. Bye!